Now, these engines are notorious for carbon buildup, and with the goodies that are in this box, we're going to fix that. And yes, you guessed it correctly, this is indeed a catch can from Bartek Motorsport, one of the best in the game for the EA888 family or 2-litre TFSIs. Of course, if you haven't already, remember, hit subscribe, but without further ado, let's get straight into it and I'll show you the process of fitting this catch can from start to finish on my Audi A3 8P. So the first thing that we need to do is get these coil packs disconnected and out of the way. And there is also an air line running from the air intake into this PCV system which we need to disconnect. And then we can simply go ahead and remove the 9 T30 bolts which simply screw through the PCV system into the rocker cover. And there is one PCV off. And just in there you can see the intake camshaft and the exhaust camshaft. Okay, so now we get to install this plate, which is the PCV delete plate. But first we need to get the gasket out of the old PCV. So let's go ahead and remove the gasket from the old PCV. So this gasket is a little bit different. I think what I'm going to do, because there's no way that bit's going into there, is just cut those with a blade so that it fits, and also cut that bit off as well. And then we should be good to go. And here, as I just said, you can see me trimming down the stock gasket so that we can fit it to the aftermarket PCV blanking plate. And there we go. That is one gasket in the plate. Now let's get this bolted down. I never want to have to take that out again. That was an absolute mission to get to sit in there, but we managed to get it in. I just had to push very hard. Now we can get it installed. Now, if I'm being honest, pushing this in was a lot harder than I originally thought it was going to be. For some reason, it just did not want to go in. I couldn't tell you why. I tried even trimming down the plastic with a blade. But in the end, we did manage to get it in with some brute force and great struggle. I cannot manage to get a bolt in there because that will not push in any further. So currently that isn't pushed in, but the amount of tension that's on it right now, I don't think it's going to matter, but I am going to keep trying to get a bolt in there and just see what I can do. But so far, so good. Next, we've got this intake manifold bung, and it does actually come with a boost tap, which I will be using. I'm not going to put it on yet, but that just screws into there with a tiny little tap. Right, so the next thing, we are going to get this catch can mounted on there. We are going to replace this charcoal canister with this catch can. Now let's go ahead and remove the stock charcoal canister so that we can replace it with the aftermarket catch can. There's 3 10mm bolts holding this in, one up the top, one down the bottom, and one on the engine mount itself. One charcoal canister. So we've got, this is our mounting plate. 2 of those go onto the catch can, goes onto that mount there. So now we can go ahead and get the catch can mounting plate screwed on to the catch can with the provided screws, which are a 5mm Allen key. And then we can go ahead and get this mounted in place of where the original charcoal canister was. However, I did have to use 3 washers. Now, this is because it simply hits the chassis of the car and there was nothing else I could do to stop that. And I don't know how well you can see that. I've had to use 3 washers to bring the level up a bit, and it does hit the chassis leg. Maybe I'll put a little bit of rubber in there or something to stop it from rattling. But nonetheless, that's in once and for all. Dipstick and the drain plug is underneath that. I partially feel like it needs to be turned that way, but I'm not sure. We've got the PCV takeoff plate installed, and we've also got the catch can now installed. So this is the next thing that we need to do. We've got 2 fittings for the AN10 lines, which simply just screw in there. That's what I mean about the 3 washers on the catch can, and it does move a tiny bit, but I'm hoping I'm going to put a bit of rubber in there or something. I might get a more permanent fix for these. But yeah, but let's get on with fitting these now. And of course, if you haven't already, remember to click subscribe, leave a comment down below what you guys think of this modification, leave a like. You guys have no idea how much this means to me. To build this channel and build a community around it into something I've always dreamed of, it's immense. So I thank every single one of you. And if you have watched my previous videos, you will know when my head gets spun out, I call in my dad to come and help. Now, Dad's got some great ideas, and it took us a little bit to get these AN10 fittings in, but we managed to get there in the end and get them all aligned. If you guys are confused on what's going on, I've got all of these AN10 connectors connected over here. I've got those 2 put into the catch can, and now I'm just trying to figure out how to cut this braided line. Now, I bought this Dremel a couple weeks ago, and I swear this thing is trying to kill me. Honestly, I think about 3 discs ended up flying off, and one of them even stuck in the cardboard, which could have been my face. So remember to wear protection, guys. And now we just have to repeat that about 1, 2, 3 more times. This is where we are up to. So we've got the breather plate on. We managed to cut this with the Dremel. I'm going to take the electrical tape off in a second so that we can get it onto this AN10 connector. And we've got this spare bit of cable for the other part, which will go just on there like that. So let's get on with it, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this goes smoothly. And as you can see, oh, it does take a bit of force. Just putting a bit of tape here so I can see if when I'm tightening it, it moves. And that is one line complete. Now let's get this one on the car. Installing these lines on the car is as simple as screwing them on. AN10 lines make it extremely easy to be able to just screw these lines on to wherever they need to go. So as you can see here, I am simply just screwing the fittings in, making sure that they're level and not cross-threading. And there, one line on. Not half bad. Now we've got to do this one. So now we can go ahead and repeat exactly the same process that we did for the other line on this line. So the first thing I did was measure it, and then I put electrical tape where I wanted to cut it. Now this is to help it to stop fraying, and you cut basically halfway through the electrical tape and then slowly peel off the electrical tape, and it doesn't fray as much as if I were to just cut it straight with the Dremel. But once it's been cut, we can then go ahead and get the AN10 connectors onto the end of the line. Okay, so surprisingly it's like 8:30 and we still have light, but we are pretty much we've got these fittings on to the longer cable. After this, all we need to do is connect the fuel filter up in place of the charcoal canister. That is a job well done. That looks smart. Now I'm just tightening the AN10 lines up so that the lines don't run off or come loose whilst I'm driving. Now the deal with this fuel filter is pretty much in place of the charcoal canister, but it doesn't affect much, if that makes sense. We're basically doing this so that we don't get an engine light, and we run it from the original fuel line which connected to the charcoal canister, and then the fuel filter goes in place of the charcoal canister, and then the other line goes into the intake manifold where the original line from the charcoal canister would have gone. That was a mouthful, but I hope you guys understand. Okay, I do apologise for not being able to film much. I am battling with the light here and it's going to go at any second. But we're basically, this is the last bit of fuel pipe. We are basically going to replace this stock pipe and have that running from that fuel filter. Excuse the pipe. Running from that fuel filter up to there. So now we can go ahead and get the final line connected up to the fuel filter, replacing the stock one that originally went into the charcoal canister. Hopefully what I said earlier about why we're using this fuel filter comes to terms and makes a bit more sense now. But let me know down in the comments if you guys have had to install this fuel filter or do something similar. So unfortunately that does just about bring me to the end of this video, but as you can see, here is the catch can finally installed. We did run into some issues, but as we always do, we overcame them. Don't forget, if you haven't already, click subscribe, leave a comment down below if you guys have done this to your car, and tune in next Sunday at 6 PM for the next upload on the channel. But from me for now, goodbye, and I will see you next week.